Hey, Brooke.
Hey. You want us to come in?
Well, I'm not quite ready
To show your
to
house
show
yet?
my house yet, but I'm getting settled in, and I'm so glad to be out of the tiny house.
Are you glad? I bet you are.
Oh, boy, I got so much more room.
Good morning, Roomba. How are you and your two babies? And I do think one of them is a hen and one of them's a rooster. That's my thinking. You're starting to see a good bit of comb showing up on one. That's not always an indication, but the behavior, you can just kind of tell if you're familiar with chickens. This is where our camper once sat, right here, kind of where I'm standing. And Roomba liked to take her babies into that camper, and they scratched around for their goodies. And now she's having to head over to the tiny house. Of course, we've got lots of area for her to take her babies, but I really don't know if Roomba knows she's a chicken because she's never really hung out with the chickens. So she stays over here and away from the rest of the birds, but she'll figure it out because this is where Mom's tiny house is. If y'all have been following us for any length of time, then you remember when we brought the tiny house, but I just kind of wanted to show y'all where the tiny house is in comparison to where the camper was. And here's my buddy Tucker this morning. She's gonna come along with me and she can show y'all all the ropes. But I'm standing right here in the spot where the camper was, and you can see Mama's tiny house is just kind of down the hill where these pine trees are. So come on, Tucker. We made a little walking trail without intentionally making a walking trail that led over to Mama's house. And this is, of course, where our driveway, we showed y'all in the last video that the driveway is going to come right here, which is where the tiny house is sitting. And we knew all along that if we kept the tiny house, it was going to have to be moved, because our plan was to run our driveway along this pathway, which is kind of beside the pond area. The tiny house, at one point we had talked about keeping it for maybe the WOOF program, which is the Worldwide Organization of Organic Farmers. I believe I did that correctly. Maybe they could come and help us out here on the farm, and it's a program that they have so young people can live on a farm and learn how to do things from other farmers. But as time has gone on, we really feel like that's not financially feasible. Reason being is Mom needs her money back that she has in the tiny house, and for us to come off with the money to pay her that would not be any kind of financial gain for us at this time, because our next priority is getting a barn built. And I just feel like we need a barn more so than we need the tiny house right now. And in the future, it may be something that, we may look back at, and we may even purchase one of these and build it like this one, similar, ourselves. But right now, I'm going to take y'all inside and see what Mama has been living in for almost a year. And it has really, really been great. We feel very fortunate to have found the camper and to have found this tiny house, which served as her home for almost a year. So here's where the pond is going to come. All this will eventually be water where the grass is now. And the reason we planted the grass down there is to prevent erosion, which it has. It's prevented erosion tremendously. That's the dam on the other side over there. So the tiny house had a spectacular view of what is to be the future pond. Now this right here is her septic tank line. And we did have plumbers come in and they piped that out, and there was no point in them putting that piping under the ground because we knew that it had to be moved. So the simplest solution was to run that 4-inch pipe above ground that plumbs into her sewage, and then there's a septic tank over there that will stay because the pond won't come that far. The pond is going to come to about where this tree is, where Marycarl's swing is. So the septic tank will stay underground. It may be, you know, that in the future, if we decide to put some sort of housing here for guests or farm help, whatever, we could do it over here on this other side and do the same thing with the piping, except maybe bury it under the ground and go to that septic tank that will be there. Okay, so this is what we're going to go into. Okay, so my mom, she's 69 years old. While that's not old, she did have a bit of difficulty, you know, kind of getting up and down the stairs. It wasn't something that she wanted in her future. So with us building the house on a slab like we did, it of course took away that stair issue. But okay, so here's what we have. There is a full-size kitchen sink that is just wonderful. There's a window above the sink, and then the stove, which is a full-size stove, and that's why I came over here so much and did my cooking versus doing it in the camper, because as you guys must imagine, this full-size stove was miles above having that little camper oven to cook a meal for a family. Now if it was just me or if it was just Mama, then that would have been fine, but for cooking a meal for a family, I came over and I used this stove. So it does have the butcher block countertops. It has cabinets on this side. It has a little space right here that she had a bar stool and she could eat right here. And then this is what she used as a pantry. She bought this neat little red cabinet, and she kept all of her canned foods and things in there. And she's not going to need that at her house because she has built-in cabinets. And then here there's a full-size, well, I don't know if it's a full-size refrigerator, but there's a refrigerator that was bigger than our camper refrigerator that was in the house when we bought it. And here is the air conditioner slash heater, and it's wonderful because it has a remote control, and we had the power cut off, so I can't show y'all anything in operation, but it does serve as heat and air, and it did a wonderful job of keeping this tiny house cool. So you can see that the previous owner had this rustic looking tin, as well as the rustic wood on the walls, and a nice ceiling fan that's remote controlled. And then this is where the majority of Jason and mine and Jason's things, and Marycarl's, that needed to be in more of a climate control, besides the things we stored at his parents', we got up in this little area up here, which is a loft. I mean, it's a lot of space up there, and stored those things up there. Used this nice ladder that came with the house. And then there's another area over here. I don't know how well you can see that because it's kind of dark, but there's another loft area over here that we stored things. Mama didn't go up and down this ladder to sleep or anything, but here's a little wall that kind of divides the sleeping area and bathroom area from the living area, and it's just like a half wall here, just a little partition that separated the day bed area, which is where she slept. And it does have a trundle, but she didn't ever have any company to need to sleep on the trundle, so the trundle's up in the attic area. And here is my wonderful washer and dryer that served its purpose the whole time we lived in the camper. Y'all would hear me talking about coming over to wash clothes, and this stackable unit did come with the tiny house, and it came in, oh my gosh, I just feel so fortunate to have not had to go on to the washateria, as we call it, or laundromat, to wash clothes during that time that we lived in the camper. And then here's the shower. The shower was my second favorite part besides the washer and dryer, because there was so much water pressure over here versus what we had in the camper, and it was nice to come over here and get a nice good water pressure full hot shower. As you can see, the people that had it before us, they did not build a wall right here on the side of the shower, which that should have been done, but hey, we were in such a hurry to get her something to live in that she lived here with no problem without the wall being there. But you got a vanity, you got a toilet which was plumbed into the septic tank, so no tanks to empty. You got a tankless hot water heater, which was on demand hot water. It was so nice to not have to worry about running out of hot water. And she's got a drawer that she pulled out, but she's got this little plastic drawing system that she used for her everyday clothes, and y'all, it served its purpose for the, let's see, 10 months. Well, she was almost here 11 months. So now that y'all saw the tiny house, I thought I'd go over and give Mama a visit and see if she'll let us see inside her new house. She may not be quite ready yet, because last time I saw her she was unpacking boxes, but I'm gonna go knock on her door and see what she says.
Hey, Brooke.
Hey, you want us to come in?
Well, I'm not quite ready
To show your
to
house
show
yet?
my house yet, but I'm getting settled in, and I'm so glad to be out of the tiny house.
Are you glad? I bet you are.
Oh boy, I got so much more room.
I wonder if dogs. I wonder if me or you are more excited to be out of the living situations that we've been in.
I don't know, but I sure am glad, and glad to have this bathtub to sit in.
Hey, Jill. Oh, so you like a bathtub too?
I love a bathtub.
I do too.
Not a shower, a bathtub.
Okay, well, we'll come back another time
Okay,
and show the
great.
house. But I just wanted to know, really, if you were happy to be out of that tiny
Oh
house.
my goodness,
Happy, happy, happy.
overjoyed.
Hey, I like that shirt.
Thank you. It's kind of dirty.
Oh, no worries. Mine's always dirty. All right, we'll check back with you later.
Have a good day.
Another question that's been asked is, what are we going to do with the canned ham? And that is what we used for our office during our time that we were living in the camper. We had the canned ham parked over behind the camper, so when Jason edited videos, he just walked out of our camper and into the little canned ham, which we now have parked in the trailer area. That's what we're going to call it anyway. It's kind of to the side of the aviary, and I do see Ozella and her 2 babies. And this is another thing we hadn't talked about. It's Jami and Lester from I'm a Survivor, Longhorn Lester and Suits to Boots YouTube, Facebook channel. They came and they purchased our camper. And while they were here, we had something happen that was just, in my opinion, it was meant to be. So we're standing outside and we're talking, and Marycarl's showing them the pigeons and chickens and different feathered babies, when all of a sudden 2 of the 4 peachicks that Ozella has raised went into the green coop. Now that coop has an automatic door on it that opens at daylight and closes at dark, and 2 of them went in. Well, I immediately thought to ask Jami and Lester if they might want 2 peachicks for their farm. And so Jami said, oh, I'd love to, but we need to talk. I need to ask Lester. And so I went and I asked Lester, I said, now's your chance. The peachicks just went into this coop, which is perfect opportunity to grab them up. Would you want to add them to your farm? And he said, well, I don't know. That'll be for Jami to decide. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if you don't want them, it's no big deal. But, and I think they both wanted them, but they told me that they didn't want to take anything from us that we didn't want to part with, or Marycarl didn't want to part with. So Marycarl went to Jami and she said, I would love for you to take 2 of these peachicks. And she told Lester that as well. And they immediately decided that they would be an awesome addition to their farm. So Marycarl and I ran and we kind of blocked off the entrance to the coop area, and they stayed in there and ate and drank water until Marycarl and I went and got a cage that was sufficient for them to make it back to Texas in. And lo and behold, it just worked out perfect. We were able to put those 2 peachicks in there. Now, we do not know the sex of them. And I did tell Jami, which they already knew because they had some of their ostriches sexed. I did tell her that if she couldn't wait to find out if she had a pair, that she could send in that DNA for testing and they would know immediately if they have boys and girls. I don't know if that's in their cards, but just something to think about. But Jami has 2 beautiful peachicks added to their farm, and we felt it was perfect opportunity because these are now to the age where they're over that vulnerability of peachicks are not easy to raise. They're harder than chickens, they're harder than turkeys, and when they're at a young age, there are lots of things that can happen and cause them to not make it. But we feel like these are the perfect age for them to do well at their farm, and we couldn't be happier to have gifted them the 2 peachicks. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little segment of talking about some things that you don't get to see on a daily basis here at Cog Hill Farm. And in the future, I'll show y'all some of the things that I physically do versus, you know, I can talk. Isn't that right, Fifi? I love my babies. You can see Capri and Bo Peep over here playing, and Mildred, my wonderful cow. Come here, Mildred. And little beautiful Paris over there. And then the other girls, Peaches and Bootsy and Tip, who's a weather, up there in the front of the pasture. Come here, Paris. I think Paris thinks Mildred's her stepmama. Mildred does a good job of taking care of Paris, but Paris is so beautiful, and we will keep her here on the farm, and everybody else stays as well. Isn't that right, Bo? And Capri. Yeah, y'all are all so sweet. Until next time, y'all be good.